Hey YouTube, what is up? I've been playing Monarchs for a really long time. I enjoyed the archetype a lot, but I have no hesitations that that deck is going to get hit, and it's going to get hit hard. I assume Pantheism is going to go down to 1. I assume Domain is going to go down to 1 as well. So I wanted to see if there was a way I could make Monarchs still function. I'm not saying still be, tier 0, tier 1 shit, but I want it to still function, and I enjoy the archetype, so I did this as a, a little hobby project on the side. This is just for fun. I'm not saying this is going to be the most meta-defining deck ever made, but you can still play Monarchs in some instances if you enjoy the deck. Now, I combined it with the Metalfoe-narchs engine because that deck allows you to go plus for days, and when you combo things like Karaz and Metalfoe-narchs fusion, you can actually do a lot of dirty things. So here we go. I run 1 Volflame and 2 Bismagia. The reason I do that is because they're both 8 scales. They are really good. I like the fact that this is a 2400 beater. Right out of the bat, you can pendulum that, but I only run 1 of it and 2 of the rare Metalfoes because they are 8 scales, and I like to balance that out. I have 3 Gold Driver, which are 1 scales, and 3 Silverbird, I think that's how it's pronounced, which are also 1 scales. Then I have 3 Steel Wren, which are 8 scales. So if you notice, I have 6 1 scales and 6 8 scales. Even though I like these cards and I think they're really useful, they have specific needs, and this card cannot basically be pendulum summoned. It's really good as a scale and not much else. It's essentially a White Stone of Ancients for the deck. Really cool, but I don't want to run 3 of them, and I don't want to run 3 of these because I had the ratios a little different in the past, and I was just drawing 8 scales for days and not drawing any of my 1 scales. So I figured this is the best Metalfoe-narchs combination for this deck. You can also do things like Pendulum Quick Draw Synchron and Pendulum Karaz and just go dirty for days. I play 2 Erebus just because you cannot sleep on Erebus. He is so good in this deck. He allows you to spin back things you can't attack over. He allows you to basically just mess with your opponent's hand, mess with your opponent's graveyard. If your opponent has a Prime Monarch in grave, you can get rid of that. You can basically spin anything back from anywhere that's going to bother you, which I really like. I run 3 Aether because I still like to interrupt my opponent on their turn. Aether is the best way to do that without running Escalation, and I run 2 Karaz in tandem with the 3 Aether. I might bump Karaz up to 3 in this deck because he is pendulum summonable, and he does return to hand after you use him. So if you use Karaz and don't pop himself, and then in the end phase he goes back to hand, next turn you can pendulum summon Karaz, pop more, go plus, and then you still haven't used a normal summon, and you just keep going from there. So it's a really useful card. I might bump this up to 3, but at 2 I feel like I don't brick. 3 I might brick, and that would be unfortunate. Though I can technically unbrick with cards like Tenacity and stuff like that, but because we run 1 Pantheism, it's a little tougher, I feel. I also run 2 Quick Draw Synchron because you can still make Tzolk'in in this deck thanks to cards like the Prime Monarch and thanks to cards like, I think it's Adamante, I think that's how it's pronounced. You can basically bring this card out with 1 Metalfoe-narchs monster and 1 monster with 2500 attack or less. So it's easy to bring out a rank 5, it's easy to bring out Tzolk'in, which is, before XYZs was the thing you'd make Tzolk'in. So I can still bring out Crystal Wing in this deck. I've made Crystal Wing turn 1. I've made Crystal Wing turn 1 along with, I think I did, what's his name? Alcahest. There we go. Full Metal Alcahest. You can make him and Crystal Wing turn 1, and you can basically negate monster effects for days because this guy just kind of absorbs that card, and then Crystal Wing can negate if you really want to negate. So they work really well together. Either way, I run 2 Quick Draw Synchron, Pendulum Summonable. I can ditch cards I don't want in my hand to the graveyard, and then I can bring them back to later with cards like Mithril. I play 2 Idios and 1 Idia because I want Idia to always be live. I don't want Idia to be dead. I'd rather draw the Idios because I can Pendulum Summon him with the Metalfoe-narchs scale, so I can actually bring Idios out. I can't bring Idia out, so I'd rather be able to have Idia in graveyard and be able to special summon and have her effects always be live, rather than have her be dead in hand and have to waste a normal summon to bring her out and then lock myself out of the extra deck. I can Pendulum Summon Idios and not use his effect, and then I'm not locked out of my extra deck and I still have cards to Tribute Summon with. So that works really well. If I banish Idios from the graveyard, I'd rather be able to special summon Idia and special summon Idios than just special summon Idia, because then that sucks. Combo I do like to do with this deck though is if I am just using the Monarch engine and I normal summon Idia, normal summon Idios, and I don't have cards in the graveyard to benefit from Idia's effect, what I'll do is I'll bring out Aether and then just, send Pantheism, send Prime, banish the Pantheism because I only run 1 in the deck, and then do my search, and then what I'll do is I'll special summon back Idia with Idios' effect in graveyard, then use the Metalfoe-narchs scale to pop her to get Pantheism back to hand, to ditch whatever I just added to hand and draw 2 more, and then on top of that I get to add Metalfoe-narchs Fusion, and if I have a Metalfoe-narchs on the field or in the hand, I get to then make a Metalfoe-narchs card and then shuffle this card back into my deck and go +1 again. So dirty combos for days with this deck. Anyway, I run 1 Pantheism because this is practice for when the ban list hits and we are at 1 Pantheism. If this card gets banned, this deck is pretty much dead, but we can actually make do with 1 Pantheism. It's not that bad. I also run 3 Tenacity because it allows me to get to Pantheism, and that's really the only reason I run it. I could also use it as a dead card if I don't want to ditch any of these cards. If I want to save them for later, I can actually just use Pantheism once I actually get it to hand, banish it, add these 3 to my hand, and then do the YUGIOH Idia pop combination with the Scales effect thing like I said before, and just add Pantheism back, ditch Tenacity, so I'm not losing any cards, and then I draw 2, and I can draw into my Metalfoe-narchs Fusion, I can draw into my Metalfoe-narchs Scale, I can bring out other Monarchs. Works really well. I also like to run 2 Metalfoe-narchs Fusion because this card makes the deck incredibly live. If you can open this card, you can literally get 2 fusions in one turn because you activate the card, then you make the fusion, it goes to graveyard, it goes back to your deck, and then you draw 1 card, so you already go +1. Then what you can do is you can pop any card on your field that's face up, like a Return of the Monarchs or something like that, after you do your tribute summons, and then you can actually make a fusion again because once you pop a card on the field, you can search out Metalfoe-narchs Fusion. And now something I don't think a lot of people know with the Metalfoe-narchs Scales, or if they don't really pay attention to it, is you can pop 2 cards per turn. So what that means is you could actually search Metalfoe-narchs Fusion, use a fusion, and then use the other scale to pop another face-up card like a Prime Monarch, which is a card that's really easy to bring back. All you do is just, have Prime Monarch on field, pop it, then you search Metalfoe-narchs Fusion, bring back Prime Monarch, pop it again, search out Metalfoe-narchs Counter, and then you have the ability to bounce back on your opponent's turn. You get 2 searches, and you get to go +1 off of Metalfoe-narchs Fusion. So it works really, really well. I like the fact that both scales can pop. It's not a hard once per turn per both scales. It's each scale can pop once per turn. And you can actually technically keep going down if you really wanted to. You just pop the other scale, put a different card in the scale, pop the other scale, and keep going. But I only run 4 searchable cards, and I don't want to deck myself out, but it is a good way to get the engine going. I also run 3 Stormforth and 3 Return of the Monarchs. It allows me to have a target to pop with my scales. If I don't have a Karaz, I can still turn any Return of the Monarchs I get into a Metalfoe-narchs Fusion or a Metalfoe-narchs Counter, because the way the scales work is they pop any face-up card, then search a Metalfoe-narchs spell or trap. So I can activate Return of the Monarchs even if I don't intend to use it, and then pop it with the scales to turn it into either of these cards, which basically means I can have this card. It's a way to float basically into Metalfoe-narchs Fusion, and that's really, really cool. I actually enjoy that a lot. I run 2 Metalfoe-narchs Counter, which if you don't know what this does is if a monster is destroyed by card effect or by battle, so you can pop your own cards and then activate this card to special summon more cards on top of that, which actually works out really, really well. You can use Metalfoe-narchs Counter on your turn or your opponent's. It basically lets you special summon anytime a card is destroyed on your side of the field from card effect or by battle, and then on top of that, any other turn besides the turn this was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to add any face-up pendulum monster in your extra deck to your hand. And I know you're thinking, why would I want to do that? The easiest way to think about it is if you are locked under Return of the Monarchs for some reason, you can actually banish 2 of these in the same turn as long as they were activated in the last turn, and then you can add your cards to your hand and then pendulum summon from your hand, leaving the cards in your extra deck, and then you can go out from there. You can unlock yourself from Return of the Monarchs, or you could add rare Metalfoe's Bismagia back to your hand because she is not pendulum summonable, so once she goes to the extra deck, she basically just stays there for the rest of the duel unless you add her back. Her effect is really good too, so you can technically add her to hand, set her, and just bait your opponent out with her effect. In the end, I run 2 Prime Monarchs. I was thinking about 3, but I felt like 2 was the perfect number for me. It's really good to run 2 of these. I wouldn't run more than that. 3 would help, maybe only to unbrick yourself, but because you rely on special summoning these so much, you don't really have cards in the graveyard to shuffle back to draw with. I'd rather just use these as special summonable, poppable targets for my scales, and basically fodder for the rank 5 engine. I run 1 Metalfoe-narchs Cardinal because it's a 3k beater and I can get over Blue Eyes. I can get over anything that really locks me out if it's a large monster. If my opponent has a Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field and I can't get out of it or I can't get over it for some reason, I don't have cards to swing over with Erebus and I can't summon a Karaz, this is how I'll get out of that. It's not the best way to do it, but the fact that I can bring out a 3k beater whenever I want to is not to be understated in this deck. It actually does help you get out of a lot of situations. I run 1 Aura Hulk just because it has double piercing damage on defense monsters, and it's 2 Metalfoe-narchs monsters as a fusion. It has a really easy summoning condition. It has 2800 attack. It's basically a Monarch and level 8. I could be running rank 8s in this deck, but I don't think there's room for it. I might try and make more room in the future and see how something like a Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy works. I could technically bring this out and then just XYZ into Titanic Galaxy. I run 1 Metalfoe-narchs Mithril because her ability to send cards from your graveyard back to deck is great. That means you can send Metalfoe-narchs Fusion back to your deck a second time and search it out a second time. So if you had the possible play, you could actually, I think, trigger this card 3 times and have 3 different fusions in one turn, as long as you brought out Mithril with one of the fusions. I also run 2 Adamante, I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's level 5 and it's basically just rank 5 fodder through and through. That's all I use it for. Now, this card is not technically out yet, and neither are the rare Metalfoes. So if you couldn't guess by now, this is probably post Invasion of Venom when we get these cards. Rare or Full Metal Foe Alcahest. It's a joke on Full Metal Alchemist. I like that. I think it's a witty joke. Its effect is pretty broken. It's basically a card you special summon in defense position and then just take your opponent's monster. Basically allows you to just steal any monster on your opponent's side of the field during their turn if it's an effect monster, and it's once per turn, but you can keep doing it. It's not just once per game. It's pretty much every turn they have. As long as you have this card face up on the field, you can just steal their monsters and it gains defense equal to the attack of the monsters that are equipped to it. So you can pretty much make this card undefeatable and force your opponent to have to pop it with something like Irageki or something like Dark Hole. You basically force that card out and you just keep taking whatever cards they bring out. If they have a Big Eye on the field, you can take Big Eye with this card. That's pretty ridiculous. I also run 1 Tzolk'in because I have 2 Quick Draw in this deck. I can actually bring out Tzolk'in pretty easily thanks to cards like Adamant and Prime Monarch. And I like to bring out Beelz, King of the Dark Dragons, and Crystal Wing. I feel like those are the only 2 cards that are really worth it in this deck because Beelz can't be destroyed by card effects or by battle. And I feel like when you bring this card out, thanks to stuff like Ultimaya Tzolk'in, you actually have a really decent protective wall because when you control another synchro monster, Tzolk'in can't be targeted for attacks or by card effects. So if you have a card that can't be targeted for attacks or by card effects, and then you have a card that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, it's a pretty hard wall for your opponent to get out of. I also run Crystal Wing because it's probably the most busted synchro in the game at this point. It's a quick effect that allows you to stop any monster effect activating from anywhere. That's pretty nuts, and it has a built-in honest effect, and it gains attack equal to the monster that it negates too. This card's just broken. I could see this definitely getting banned just because it's too good, and it basically is power creep incarnate. I also run 1 Gaia Charger because I run rank 5s. I also do the Volcasaurus combo with it. I run 1 Utopia Beyond because Karaz is a level 6, and I can make a level 6 fusion, so it's not bad at all. I can actually special summon Karaz, pop any defense position monsters my opponent has, then use Metalfoe-narchs fusion to fuse with any Metalfoe-narchs I also special summon in that Pendulum summon, make Utopia Beyond, and then just attack their face-up monsters, and I still haven't Tribute summoned. So I could still bring out something like Aether and then bring out Erebus and have something like 8600 damage on board. If all my opponent's face-up monsters in attack position have 0 attack, that's game. I also like to run 1 Adrius just to pop anything that really locks my deck out. If my opponent puts up fucking Necro Valley, I am screwed. So I really do need this card to get me out of that. That's why I have to run 1 of them. I don't really like to, but it's a necessity to be honest at this point. I run 1 Volcasaurus because Volcasaurus allows me to pop anything big. You can pop Red Eyes, you can pop a bunch of stuff. I also run 1 Artifact Durandal because hand shuffling in this deck is great. I can go +1 off of Metalfoe-narchs fusion. If I don't draw the Metalfoe-narchs fusion, I can try and make Artifact Durandal, shuffle it all back, and then probably draw Metalfoe-narchs fusion because I run 2 of them. And if I'm shuffling my like 10 card hand back, because that's what I can pull off with this deck thanks to cards like Karaz and Metalfoe-narchs fusion. I also run 1 Shark Fortress for game because I can make any monster I have attack twice that turn. That is nuts. I can make Crystal Wing attack twice, so I don't even need Utopia Beyond at that point. Crystal Wing will just do 6k damage regardless as long as it attacks a face-up attack position monster. That's pretty broken. And then I have other Monarchs and other cards on the field as well, so they'll probably lose thanks to Shark Fortress and Crystal Wing. It's just too broken not to run. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, don't forget to follow me on Twitter @Schwabs or like my Facebook page to see when I post these videos. The links to those are in the description below. And if you really enjoyed it, don't forget to click subscribe because it's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.